Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Empower Hour show. I'm Debbie Sherrick. I'm a holistic codependency coach and the owner of Inside Out Wellness. And I want to introduce my little sidekick and partner here today, Laura. And now Laura is Laura Bushbinder Hedges. She just got married the beginning of the month, right, Laura? Wasn't it March?
March 6th, yep.
March 6th, yes. So she's really a newlywed. So now she is Laura Hedges. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
And today, Laura and I, our show today, we're going to talk about having courage to step out in faith and trust the process, trust the universe, trust your higher power, and having the courage to make changes in our life, whatever that might be for you. And I have found so many times, it's pretty common, especially when we're talking about people in recovery or codependency, people in addiction, that change can be very, very, very scary, especially if you grew up always worried about impending doom, especially if so many things have not worked out for you in your life and you've had a lot of pain in your life and a lot of suffering in your life, that sometimes we just lose hope and we're afraid. We know that we need to make changes. We know that we need to do things for ourselves. We know that we need to step out in faith and trust new things to happen in our life, but we stay stuck in the dysfunction or in the toxicity of what's going on in our life because we lack the courage to step out and do what we need to do for ourselves. So that's going to be our topic today. I think this is going to be a good show, don't you, Laura?
Yes, I'm really excited about this show because, it's challenging to step out in faith and try something new and have the courage to be brave, but it's almost inspiring and it's exciting. You can think of it as a scary thing, or you can be excited about the new changes. You can be excited about your future. So I kind of love this topic.
Yeah, me too. And, I was just thinking when you were saying that, because we talk a lot about healing codependency through the chakra energy centers. I do a lot, I work a lot with the chakras, balancing the chakras related to the relationship to ourselves and to others. And when we talk about, and that's one of the reasons I wore yellow today, because of the solar plexus chakra energy center, because that is our empowerment center. That's our fire center. That's where we get fired up to do things, to step out and take risks, to have courage, to feel empowered, to make healthy decisions for ourselves. Is that particular, to me, that is the codependency main chakra center, because so many of people who suffer from these behaviors don't have any empowerment. They don't have any self-love. They don't have any courage. They don't have any self-confidence to do things for themselves or make changes. So this is about that solar plex center and just really having the courage to do what we need to do for ourselves. And when you think about it, that's the area of our body also where we feel fear, is right there in that solar plexus center. When we feel anxiety and fear about something, where do you feel it? You get the butterflies there, you get anxiety right there in that center. And so we know that when we're feeling fear, that we're not feeling empowered about something and we're afraid of something. So we want to, have the courage to step out no matter how scary it is and, jump off that cliff sometimes and say, I know that I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm doing the will of God. I know that this is a healthy decision for my higher self, and I'm going to jump. And I'm just going to trust you, God, to have the safety net there for me and, help me and do open up new doors for me.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to surrender all control. You have to feel that fear and do it anyway, and it's not going to feel that great in the beginning, but once you take that leap of faith, you'll feel so much better. You'll feel empowered and stronger than you've ever been before. So it's worth it to feel that little bit of uncomfortable butterflies in the stomach.
And I love that word surrender too,
Mhm.
because when we totally surrender and say, I give up control, I let go, I surrender to whatever God has for me, whatever the universe has for me, I just surrender my will over to the will of God. And you know, last month, or we did our last show, we did the Serenity Prayer. And I was thinking about that this morning when we were, you know, when I was thinking about the show today, about God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things that I can. And when we know that there are things that we can change for our own life and for our own betterment and our own self, a lot of those changes take tremendous courage. And you know, I want to say this too. Courage does not mean absence of fear. You know, so many people say, well, I'm going to wait till I'm not so afraid before I do this. You know, I'm still so afraid. And it's not about, you know, fear is a normal emotion, and we all have fears and feel afraid sometimes when we're going to do things that are healthy for us. But courage is stepping out in faith, trusting your own intuition, trusting your own inner guidance, your GPS system inside of you, because we all know, our higher self always knows what's best for us, and trusting spirit, trusting God, trusting your higher power. That's where courage comes in spite of the fear.
Right.
So I'm going to read the synopsis of the show today that did earlier last week. Following our hearts and being true to ourselves takes a lot of courage. God alone knows our heart. We know when something doesn't feel right and we are not honoring ourselves for our highest good. Maybe it's another lesson that we're needing to learn to step up higher for our highest good. Maybe the goal of healing codependency is knowing that we can trust ourselves and our intuition and ultimately develop a faith to trust God for the outcome. You have got to be willing sometimes to lose everything in order to gain yourself. When you find your true self, everything else will follow. We all have tremendous power inside of us and are really stronger than we think. Don't lose that to your fears. So today, as we talk about, do you have the courage to step out in faith and trust? The first thing, whoops, my computer's, there we go. The first thing that I wanted to bring up when we're talking about making decisions and having the courage to do that is to not trust your life decisions and turn your will over to the will of others. And I'm saying that because I find this a lot of time when we do not trust ourselves, and I can remember years ago doing this, that because I needed to make some life-changing major decisions, but I didn't trust my own intuition at that time. I didn't trust myself to know what was best for me because I really didn't know myself. That I would ask everybody. I would give the opinion from everybody and what they thought. And, you know, when we do that, it really brings confusion because everybody has an opinion and nobody knows your situation and nobody knows your life like you do. So it's really important when you're trying to make some of these life-changing decisions or step out with courage about something, that it is trusting your higher self trusting God, learning to listen to God, journaling, staying quiet, going within, maybe letting a coach or a therapist help you to walk through some of these things, also to help you make that decision. But don't go out there and think that your friends and your family members and everybody out there is going to have the answer for you and tell you that what is best for you, because only you will know. And when you have that, when you're able to validate yourself and you have peace within and peace with God, then you can go ahead and make that decision.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is to meditate and either, have a quiet place to sit and just close your eyes. You can if you pray, you can ask God or your angels to help assist you in making the right decision. Or I tell a lot of my students that have trouble making decisions to set an intention for the day or before your yoga practice, and maybe it doesn't come to you, the answers don't come to you right away, but eventually they'll show up, you'll see signs, and you'll know. You just have to trust and listen to your gut and listen to your inner guidance system.
And I have found too in years past that when I'm wanting to make a decision, that when I pray and ask God please show me the answer. Please show me what's best for me and what I need to do. Bring everything out into the light that I need to see that could be hidden in darkness. Maybe I'm not seeing something that I need to see. Maybe I'm in denial. Give me the strength to open my eyes to see truth and what is best for me. And every time I've ever prayed that prayer, I've been shown. Sometimes the things I've been shown I really didn't want to see, but I needed to. I needed to see that truth. I needed to know those things because it helped me in making my decision.
Yeah, that takes a lot of courage even to ask that, because some people, we just avoid it and we kind of don't want to know the answer because we know it's maybe something that feels uncomfortable and you don't want to go there. But yeah, it takes courage to even ask for the sign.
Yeah, I tell clients, make sure, that you want to pray that prayer, because sometimes things will be brought out into the light for you to know that may be painful. But yet you need to know them, and you ask, Mm-hmm. So, one of the things, too, about making a decision, I think that's so important, and you and I were talking about this earlier before the show, is about timing with making a decision. Because, we go back and forth vacillating, being indecisive, being on the fence. And it can be a really painful, crazy place to be. And I know that I see this so often with clients when they are maybe in a relationship that maybe when they're fighting, or the other one is in relapse, or there's abuse going on, or craziness going on, whatever that might be, that they're wanting to get out of the situation. They're saying, I don't want to live like this anymore. It's too painful for me. It's affecting my life. I can't sleep, and on and on. Then things might get good again, and so then they're not there anymore, and they're saying, oh, things are better this week, and I feel good now. And so they go back and forth like that, really being double-minded and knowing what to do, and being on the fence. And being on the fence can really be a very crazy, uncomfortable. I think that's a good word. It can be a very uncomfortable place to be. However, I think we need to be easy on ourselves when we're on the fence.
Absolutely, yes.
And not beat ourselves up, saying, I need to make a decision, I need to make a decision. Because waiting time can be action. If we're waiting on God, we're waiting to be shown something, we're waiting on an answer, that doesn't have to be dead time. That can be action time, because we're waiting for an answer. We're waiting to make a decision. At that time, too, is when it's really important. Laura, I'm huge, and anyone that's ever worked with me, I insist on journaling, because journaling is such a great way to get your feelings out. And you can go back like months before and look at where you were, if you've grown, or if you're stuck in the same place. I have like 25 years of journals, and I will go back, like sometimes just sit down with one 10 years ago or 15 years ago and read what was going on in my life then and how I was feeling, and I can see like, oh, I've grown so much in that area. I can't even believe that was me writing about that and that I was so stuck in that behavior. Or I can read something and go, I really still have trouble with that. I need to work on that. So journaling is so important to, process, get your feelings out, just get them out on paper, and how you're feeling and what you're worried about, what you're afraid about, and, what decisions you want to make. I love journaling.
Yeah. Wonderful. It's a good mirror for you to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. It is. And one of the things we were talking about is about time frames and getting a time frame for yourself. I will suggest this a lot of times when people are on the fence about something. So give yourself 3 months. Give yourself 6 months. Give yourself 1 year. Whatever feels comfortable. Now, I want to say this: if it's a abusive situation where you're, being abused, I don't tell them to give themselves a time frame of 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. I really encourage and stress about their safety and how important it is to get out of a physically abusive situation at the time. So we're not talking about that. We're not talking about making a decision whether to not be physically abused again. But time frames can be great. And one of the reasons when we're talking about codependent behavior is we all know that when we're in those codependent crazies or those behaviors, that the person that we're most focused on is not ourselves. The person that we're most focused on is either our significant other, it could be our spouse, our boyfriend, it can be our child who's in addiction. That our focus and attention and obsession is on them, what they're doing, what they're going to do next. We're walking on eggshells, waiting for the other shoe to drop, wondering, so a time frame, I encourage, maybe you want to take 6 months, or maybe you want to take a year before you make this decision about this relationship or, a job, and really work on yourself. Let's work on focusing on you. Let's get you healthier. Let's focus on meeting your needs, getting your eyes off your significant other, and focus on what is best for you and how you're going to meet your needs and how you're going to learn to love yourself and how you're going to nurture yourself and how, just doing things differently and learning how to take care of and be true to yourself. And then in that time frame, as you're doing that, you will be in a healthier position to make a decision for yourself. What have you ever, Laura, had to give yourself a time frame or wait on that you needed to make a decision?
There's been several times I remember with jobs. I enjoyed them, but I knew it wasn't fulfilling enough for me. So I remember I actually stayed in a few jobs a lot longer than I was supposed to. Like it was like I talked about quitting probably for a year and a half. And then finally I said, I'll give myself another month, and if things don't change, then I will finally make the decision. But you're never going to feel ready. You have to feel that uncomfortable feeling and go for it and have the courage to step into bravery and step into your truth. Because I could have stayed in mediocre jobs for a long time because I was safe, had a steady paycheck, but it wasn't fulfilling, and I knew it wasn't my truth. I wasn't helping people as much as I could. So I had to just step into that uncomfortable feeling. I think it was like a month after I finally made the leap, jump. And it was scary. You know, I don't like to disappoint people. I was a people pleaser. So, but you have to honor yourself.
Yes, and that's a good example as a job. I did an article several months ago in LinkedIn about are you codependent in the workplace? And I talked about how, you know, how we do one thing is how we do everything. You know, we're not going to have codependent behaviors just with our loved ones, and then in our other relationships or go to work and not have those same, you know, codependent behaviors like people pleasing, afraid to speak our truth, standing up for ourselves. Those kind of things is generally how we are. And so, you know, a lot of time, you know, when people are not able to be true to their self in life and honor their needs, that will continue to show up in the workplace, where they're not maybe being treated right or not getting a raise or, you know, being taken advantage of, and yet they're not able to stand up and set boundaries or leave the job, whatever needs to be done, you know, with that. But I think when we're, you know, also I can remember a time of timing when I was married to my addict husband who kept relapsing, and that I remember the last time when he came out of treatment and he was in recovery, that I set myself a time frame because he never really went long, you know, being clean, and so I wanted to set myself a time frame to myself and say, I'm going to see if for a year that he can stay in recovery for a year while I work on myself over here, letting go of his recovery and watching to see, you know, if he's going to be able to stay clean, because the insanity of doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results was definitely there, and the relapse and the dance that we did. So I gave myself a year, you know, to say, okay, I'm going to make a decision about this relationship if there's continuing to be relapse. So yeah, sometimes timing, you know, and when we know we have a certain peace within us, it doesn't mean we're not scared to step out and do what we need to do, but yet we know. And I talk about sometimes the grace of God. You know, God's grace is sufficient for things that we do. And I believe that he gives us grace for so many things. He gives us standing grace. He gives us dying grace. He gives us grace for so many things in life. And a lot of times when we're standing in a time frame and we're believing for something, God's grace will be there to help us stand and believe. However, when it's not going to happen after a while, the grace is lifting. The grace will be lifted. And then we're trying in our own flesh. You know, we're trying in our own will. Maybe it was dead a long time ago, but we're in our own will continuing to go to that hardware store to buy milk, continuing to make that person be available to us, continuing to, you know, get someone to get it, continuing to make them or try to make them get into recovery, whatever that might be. You know, we're in our behaviors then. And so I thought that was important. One of the things about, you know, peace, you know, so many endings, really all endings, I don't want to say so many, anything that is ended always brings a new beginning.
Absolutely. That little leap of faith. You know what helps me go through those changes and growth and stepping into fear is knowing that the universe and God and our angels are supporting us. So,
yes.
So it's kind of like you can think of it as a fun, exciting thing to do. Like, I love challenging myself now. I love stepping into my fear and growing. And it can be really uncomfortable, but really exciting because you can just trust and surrender and know that you're being guided and supported, and you'll feel so much better after you do it.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, that again is where our journals are so great, because when I look back over my life in raising my children and, you know, my growing up in my household and my steps of recovery, when I look back over my life and things that ended, you know, whether it be behaviors or relationships or deaths, you know, death is an ending of something, you know, and I've lost many loved ones to addiction. But when I look back, every time something ending, a new beginning started. Something new. God opened a new door. And one of my very favorite scriptures, it is in Isaiah. And it says, "Remember you not the former things, neither think on the things of old. For behold, I will do a new thing. It shall now spring forth." And I just love that scripture because it has so much wisdom in it about stop looking back at the old things, stop remembering and dwelling on the sadness and the, you know, how bad it was, and living in the past like that. Because God says, "Behold, I'm going to do a new thing in your life, and it shall now spring forth," if we allow it. And so believing, whether we're seeing, you know, faith is seeing when we are believing when we don't see. So just, you know, believe that and confess that God, you are doing a new thing in my life. You are bringing new things, opening new doors, giving me divine connections, all kinds of new things, expanding my territory, expanding me inside and on the outside. That God, you're going to do a new thing. And be excited about it. That's a lot better feeling to focus on that than to keep remembering and dwelling on the things of old.
Yeah, I love that it says spring forth. It's like a new beginning, yes. Springtime. Yes. Yeah. And that's an exciting phrase. I have to share with you this quote that I just love. It's by A Course in Miracles.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait and wait without anxiety. So I just love that. It's all about stepping into that fear and that faith without anxiety, without that awful feeling, but with excitement and bravery.
I love that too. And how else does our faith grow and our dependence on a higher power and learning to trust ourselves rather than doing those things and stepping out? That's how we grow. That's how we see the hand of God in our life. That's how we see miracles in our life. That's part of becoming empowered and increasing your confidence and self-esteem is doing things and making decisions that are healthy for ourselves. So let's go into, I want to talk about, read a little bit about a blog that I wrote about relationships. And it says the reasons and need for relationship in the beginning are always changing along through the years. We should ideally be able to adapt to the changes in a relationship through the years, have compromises, be able to accept when one person's growing and the other isn't for a period of time, and yet getting healthier as you go along through the years in a relationship, that the relationship becomes healthier with communication, with honor and respect and cherishing and not having blame and criticism and losing that respect for each other. And when that doesn't happen, people can become strangers and become miles apart, grow miles apart. And I see that. And sometimes the needs that we had in the beginning of a relationship that sufficed that that person came into your life and you needed they met every need that you had and what you wanted at that time. But sometimes as you grow, that maybe one person grows and the other doesn't, and you outgrow and you tend to go separate ways. And you know, I love that also, that quote about people come into your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime.
Yep.
And I believe that. I believe that that's true. So when we find ourselves being the one to initiate everything, when the other person is unavailable in every way that you need, and we keep trying to make them available over and over and over for long periods of time, then we know that we're really into our code of behavior, trying to get someone to get it, trying to force them to be available to us, trying to make them meet our needs. And if we've grown up in a home where we had a very unavailable parent, which most people who are codependent and addicts and did grow up with either a mother, father, or both that were very unavailable, maybe unavailable emotionally, maybe unavailable physically, workaholic, just their needs were not met and they were unavailable, and maybe you spent a lot of time growing up trying to make that parent be available to you, trying to gain their approval, trying to gain their love, trying to get their attention. I can remember doing that so many years with my dad. And I can remember when I got into recovery being able to see him as he truly was and let go of that. It was like a weight off my shoulders that I stopped trying to have this fantasy relationship that I thought that I needed from my father and allowed it to be what it was.
Yeah, that's tiring.
Pardon me?
It's tiring to have to or want to control the other person. It's exhausting.
It is exhausting, and we use a lot of energy doing that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a daily thing. And I call that going to the hardware store trying to buy milk. You know, it's just not there, and we keep going back all the time and saying, is there milk this week? You got milk today? Nope, we don't carry milk. It's not here. And then we don't get it. We just keep going back and trying to get milk, you know. So if we grew up like that and had a parent like that, sometimes we will tend to repeat that as the subconscious does. That's part of our belief system in the subconscious. That's our root chakra, our tribal family of origin, where our belief systems come from by the age of 7. And so sometimes we'll be attracted to people who are unavailable, and we will set that up. Our subconscious will set that up, and that we will repeat that pattern of trying to make that person available as we did one of the parents, until, you know, so much time goes on and we get healthier and we realize, you know, this isn't working, and realize what we're doing. So whether to stay, leave, or reconcile is a very common dilemma. You know, should I stay? Should I work it out? Should I leave? Should we reconcile? Back and forth. That can be, you know, common, and that can go on for years and years. So a situation, that kind of situation, can create years of pain and unhappiness and loneliness, where we may not be being abused physically, but we find ourselves constantly sad and lonely and miserable more than we're happy in the relationship. So when it's time to end something like that, you will know. You know, you will, as we talked about before, all the ways that we can realize and we can figure out, we will know. The relationship will be dead. It won't have a pulse anymore. When you know in your heart that you have tried and given 150%, you will have a peace about letting go, because you know you've given it your all. And you know, as I said before, God gives us grace to stand and to believe for what we're wanting to believe. But when it's over, you know, it's over, and that grace is lifted, and you'll have an inner peace. So once you know, it's the courage to trust yourself, the courage to trust God, your higher power, whoever that is, to step out in faith in spite of the fear. So I wanted to share with you, I said I was going to make an announcement today, and this is one of the reasons that I chose to talk about this topic today, because my husband and I made that decision, and we feel it was a healthy decision, that we had grown miles apart. We were living as roommates for a long time, and that we decided that it just wasn't working anymore, that we were settling, and that we even said to each other that we love each other enough to let each other go and to be happy and to find other relationships maybe one day that would be more fulfilling to us. And so it was not a decision that was done in haste. It was over a long period of time. And it was a decision, I feel, that I made to really honor myself, to be authentic, to be true to myself, because my needs were just not being met. And I did not want to live the rest of my life with my partner as a roommate and just as a friend and not having a relationship. So, and there was, a lot of anger and bitterness on my part coming up because I didn't want to live like that. And so I kept, when our inner feelings and our inner knowing of that, when we know what we need to do to honor ourselves, when we know what we need to do to take care of ourselves, that's what's best for our highest good, and when we know what our needs are, or the needs that we need in a relationship and that we want, and our outside world is not matching that on the inside, you get really, really uncomfortable and really convicted, and you just don't have a peace. And so I had to make that decision to honor myself, have that peace, and say goodbye. So I am going through another divorce, and we are making it as amicable as we can, and know that one day we will be great friends together with each other. And is it sad? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. Is it scary? Yes. But is it worth it to honor myself and my highest good and what is best for me, and know that I made the right decision? Is that worth it? Absolutely. And that way, too, I need to be authentic in my work as a codependency coach. I need to be real about my own life. I need to be real, and I need to mirror the things that I teach and that I coach others. And I can't be telling others, to honor and be true to themselves and what are they feeling in their heart, and me not do that myself. So, a lot of people stay, and I mean a lot of people stay in relationships that are very, very unhappy and very unhealthy because they don't want to go through the sadness. They don't want to go through all the change that has to take place. And I think the main thing about making a decision for yourself is that you have to know what's best for you. You have to have peace within yourself. You have to have peace with God. You have to know what's best for you. No one else can tell you what you need to do. Only you know your unhappiness. Only you know if you're settling, and that if you're miserable, only you know that. So I wanted to share that with you all today about having to have the courage to step out in faith and trust God to open new doors and to do new things in my life, and that it feels good to be able to honor myself and know that this is best for my highest good, and not to just stay in something that was very, very unfulfilling and not healthy. So I wanted to share that.
I think you're a beautiful example of how to live. You're an amazing life coach, and you're leading by example. You're honoring your truth. You stepped into your courage. You took the leap of faith, and it's a beautiful thing. And I'm just so proud and honored to be working with you.
Oh, I love you, Lord. Thank you so much. That very, very sweet of you to say that, because you know me. You've known me for a lot of years, and you know that my heart. And you know one of the most important things to me is to be authentic, and also that I'm very vulnerable. You know, with who I am, I'm very open about who I am. I don't have any secrets, and I also love to relate to the people that I work with. That, you know what, the reason I can work with you and the reason that I do this work and have done it for so many years is because I know you. I've been there. I know what it's like to feel that pain. I've been in abuse. I've been in addiction. I've been in all those things. I grew up in a family of addiction. I've had loved ones die from addiction, and I've been through the low self-esteem, you know, I've walked that path and am still walking it. You know, we never get to the place where we arrive. You know, we're on this life journey of growing and peeling the layers of the onion, and I just believe by faith that this is going to even make my work even better and make me even a better coach, and also be able to relate to others, because I've never ended a relationship because I wanted to honor and be true when I love the person and I see them as a divine child of God, but it's a healthy decision to let each other go because the gap got too big. You know, the pulse was dead in the marriage. And we said, you know, one day we'll be great friends, we love each other, but we just can't be married to each other. So, you know, I've never ended a relationship like that, so it was really kind of weird, but yet healthy. I knew it was healthy.
Yeah.
And that it needed to be done. I wanted to read, this is the language of letting go, and I said this is so apropos for, perfect for today, and me sharing my story and sharing my truth with you. And this is called ending relationships. It takes courage and honesty to end a relationship with friends, loved ones, family members, spouses, or a work relationship. Sometimes it may appear easier to let the relationship die from lack of attention rather than risk ending it. Sometimes it may appear easier to let the other person take responsibility for ending the relationship, so you don't have to be the bad guy. We may be tempted to take a passive approach instead of saying how we feel, what we want or don't want, or what we intend to do, because we're afraid of speaking up for ourselves. We're afraid of confrontation. If we're like that, then we may begin to passively sabotage the relationship. And doing that, we're hoping to force the other person to end it and do the difficult work. Those are ways to end relationships, but they're not the healthiest and the easiest way to end relationships. As we walk this path of self-care, we learn that when it is time to end a relationship, the easiest way is one of honesty and directness. We are not being loving, gentle, or kind by avoiding our truth. We are not sparing the other person's feelings either by sabotaging the relationship instead of accepting the end or the change and doing something about it. We are prolonging and increasing the pain and discomfort. And this is so true for the other person and for ourselves. If we don't know, if we're on the fence, it is more loving and honest to say that. If we know it's time to terminate a relationship, say that too. Endings are never easy, but endings are not made easy by sabotage, indirectness, passive aggressiveness, and lying about what we want and need to do. Say what you need to say in honesty and love. When it's time, if we are trusting and listening to ourselves, we will know what to say and we will know when to say it. Remember that honesty and directness always increases your self-esteem. Always. And so I thought that was like, said it in a nutshell. You know, Melody Beatty, she's so great. That, you know, there's different ways to end things, you know, passively and sabotaging, waiting for the other person to do it. But those aren't the healthiest and, you know, easiest ways to end something.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, in our last few minutes, and then we're going to have Laura's going to do a meditation for us about fear and courage and, self-esteem. But we thought we would talk a little bit about what are some of the behavior patterns that we get stuck in to not step out in courage, to not honor ourselves, to not do what's best for us. What's some of those reasons that we might do that? What's some you think of, Laura?
Well, there's definitely that feeling of comfort and safety, and you sometimes feel stuck and hopeless, but you have to build the courage and build the confidence to move forward. But it's really easy to just continue to do the same thing every day, continue to maybe ignore the signs that have been shown to you, because it's not comfortable, it's scary, and maybe you're not ready to honor yourself. But I think that comfort and feeling safe, and then also for me in the past, I've been a people pleaser. So I never want to disappoint anyone. I never wanted to hurt anyone's feelings. So that will just, that's a vicious cycle. You'll never be happy if you continue to do that. You don't speak up for yourself.
And that's, both of those are huge things that people, do not make changes or don't step out on courage. The people pleasing, we always say you can't take care of someone else's feelings and yours at the same time. It's impossible, So that can really keep you stuck in indecision and not moving forward when you say, well, I really need to do this for myself. I'm really feeling I need to make this decision. I need to stop enabling. I need to stop rescuing. I need to change this job. I need to end this relationship, whatever that is. It can be the courage to get healthy and lose weight.
Yeah.
It could be the courage to start exercising and getting healthy.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, when we are worried about someone else and people pleasing and hurting their feelings, and that, I can remember one time with someone I was working with, I talked about the family. I believe that there are certain times I'm a strong believer in intervention. And I have the highest regard and respect for interventionists. You've got to really be called to do that. But I was suggesting to this family that let's coordinate an intervention for their son. And they said, oh, we can't do that. Do you know how mad he'll be if we do that? He's got such a temper. He'll be so pissed off if we do an intervention on him. And here this kid was, ODing and needed to go to treatment so bad or he was going to die. And they were too afraid of upsetting him and him getting mad to do an intervention. And that's true. That's people pleasing, is like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to upset someone. I don't want them to be mad at me. I don't want them to not love me anymore. So that's a really big reason that people can be stuck. And that's truly not honoring yourself. That's truly not being true to yourself or taking care of yourself. And the other one you mentioned that I love is staying in the comfort zone, that something's comfortable, that we don't make change. And this is huge in dysfunctional relationships. It's huge with codependency behavior, is that we're so used to pain, we're so used to the dysfunction, we're so used to relapse or whatever it is, that it's become comfortable to us. It's become familiar to us. And it doesn't mean that it's not painful or we don't like it, but it's so familiar that we get comfortable in the pain or the dysfunction of it, that we don't step out to make change because this way is too familiar. And you see that even in recovery. Sometimes people, they start making changes and their new behaviors they're learning their new recovery behaviors they're learning are not comfortable in the beginning. And I always say, act as if in the beginning. This is the healthy way to do it. This is the healthy way to set about it. This is a healthy way to confront someone. This is the healthy way to treat yourself. It may not feel familiar and it may not be comfortable because you're not used to doing it. But just act as if, and the feelings will come eventually, and then that behavior will start feeling more comfortable and healthier, and the old behaviors will start feeling uncomfortable. So yeah, that's a big, and I think another big one is fear. I mean, really, just fear of the change, fear of the sadness, fear of the grief, fear of the what ifs, and the what ifs belong to God. Well, what if this happens? Well, what if this? What if that? And when we're making huge life-changing decisions to step out, we do need to have our ducks in a row. We don't need to do it impulsively. We need to have a plan. But, just staying in it because it's, this is the way it is. This is the way we've always been. This is the way it's always been. This is life. Can be one of the reasons too. I think one, too, can be that deep down we don't love ourselves enough or feel that our needs are important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, self-love, I think, is the ultimate truth, and your ultimate goal is to honor yourself first, love yourself enough to let go of others, let go of that situation, and step into courage and faith.
And yet it's a paradox because that is how we gain self-love and self-esteem, is taking care of ourselves and making those decisions, that may hurt others or may, but we know it's healthy for ourselves. And, not just having faith in ourselves and trusting ourselves to do that and loving ourselves enough to do that, but maybe a reason could be that you're at a place where you don't have much faith or trust in God, that you don't believe, that He can be there for you, or your higher power, that the universe is there for you to catch you and to help you. That can be a reason also, and where we need to find a way for our own personal spirituality, how to increase our faith and our trust in a higher power to take care of us, that we're not in this life alone. We have angels, we have God, we have, the universe, His vast universe. Life is here to take care of us. I love that affirmation, I let go of all fear and doubt, and life is here to take care of me. I am safe.
Yeah, that's
I love that. And we could just be, we're not familiar with how to take care of ourselves. We're not used to taking care of ourselves. So to do something healthy for ourselves and say, yes, this is honoring me. Yes, this is good for me. We're not used to that. And we can be scared, to take that risk. Always remember that honesty and directness will always increase your self-esteem. And, to me, the quote, "To thine own self be true, and therefore you'll be false to no man," is the codependency recovery mantra. To thine own self be true. There's lessons in everything for us. And I say this, and I've always told my kids this, that it's never a mistake if you learned the lesson and you grew from it.
Yeah.
So don't have regrets. Don't go into shame. If you are learning a lesson and you grew from it, your inside grew, your spirit grew from it, you got healthier emotionally, it was not a mistake. There are no mistakes. So before we go into our meditation, I also want to let you know or remind you, in case you don't know, that you can get a free gift, my free gift of 10 signs of a toxic relationship at empowerhour.com/live. That's empowerhourshow.com/live. And some of you may not be watching this from Google Hangout, but you may be watching it from the empowerhourshow.com/live. And this particular show will be up for a month, that you can watch it in the next month or send it to other people who are needing to make a change. But you can go on there and download 10 signs of a toxic relationship. So right now, Laura, Laura is a yogi instructor, and she's the owner of Yoga Bliss and does classes all over Palm Beach and Broward County here in beautiful South Florida. So, Laura, I'm going to turn it over to you to end this show today with a beautiful meditation for us.
Sounds great. My favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
So I'll have everybody come into a comfortable seated position. And I'd like you to place both hands on your stomach, your solar plexus chakra, your power center, your confidence center. And just give it a little pressure so you feel that center. Maybe you feel the warmth around your stomach. You feel the support around your body. And then I'll have you close your eyes and take some deep breaths. So as you inhale through the nose, I want you to inflate your stomach like a balloon. And as you exhale, you want to draw your belly button towards your spine. Sit up tall, start to lift your heart, soften your face. And then you can repeat this to yourself or you can say it out loud. I breathe in my courage. And open mouth exhale. I exhale all my fears. We'll do that 3 times. I breathe in my courage, deep inhale. Open mouth exhale all my fears. Good. One more time, big inhale, all your courage. Open mouth exhale all your fears. Good. And then I'm going to have you open your eyes. Take your palms to face up. Maybe start to lean back a little bit, opening up your throat chakra, your communication center, opening up your heart. And then breathe in, I surrender. And exhale all your fears. Breathe in, I let go of the need to control. And exhale all your fears. One more breath. Breathe in more love and compassion for yourself. And open mouth, exhale, let go of your fears. Good. Then take your hands to heart center. Close your eyes and bow your head to your heart. I choose love today. I breathe in more courage, more confidence, and bravery. And I release all blockages and all fears. Let's take 3 more slow, deep breaths, inhaling through the nose. And exhaling through the nose. And as you sit here and breathe, really root down into your seat, root down into your sit bone. And maybe imagine a beautiful yellow light shining out through your solar plexus or your belly button, filling your body with more love, more confidence, more courage to step into the unknown, step into a leap of faith. And remember and know that all is well. That you are safe and you're guided. And the universe has your back. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you have a wonderful day filled with love, joy, and peace. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with courage and grace. And may all beings everywhere be loved and free. Namaste.
Namaste. That was beautiful, Laura. Thank you so much. It was absolutely beautiful. So thank you for joining us today. you can learn more about me and my individual one-on-one coaching at insideoutwellnesscoach.com. And also friend me on Facebook if you're on Facebook and we're not friends, and I have some private groups also on there. I do a lot of blogging about codependency, and also do the Empower Hour show once a month. Laura, tell us how we can get in touch with you, honey.
My website is yogabliss.info, and you can friend me on Facebook as well. Laura Bookbinder Hedges is my new name. You can also find my new page on Facebook. It's Yoga Bliss. Feel free to email me. Come to any of my classes. I try to post all my classes on my website and Facebook. So have a wonderful day. Stand tall and confident and feel free.
Yes. And thank you again for joining us. Namaste.
Namaste.